Welcome back to Gear for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 692, we're going to talk about Varragoth, Bloodsky, Sire. Now, for 3 mana, we get a 2/3 Death Touch, which is not bad. Boast. As long as it's been declared an attacker this turn, you can activate a Boast ability. 2 mana, target player searches their library for a card, and then shuffles the library and puts it on top of it. So, I love that it's target player and not you, because in our format, we can make alliances with people, and, if you want a tutor, I can make that happen, and, as long as you don't whatever. So, there's so many different ways to go with this deck. If you just absolutely need to get your combo, maybe it's Blood Bond, maybe it's whatever, I don't know. I didn't go that route. I just did a good old-fashioned black deck. Some people would call it, mono black good stuff. I don't know if we'd consider this good stuff, but let's look at it, shall we? Okay, we're going to start with our ramp like always. We got to have a Dark Ritual. I mean, we're playing mono black, right? Because, Living the Dream is turn 1. Dark Ritual, Soul Ring, Commander, maybe something else. I don't know. Maybe we get the Wayfarer's Bauble with it. Who knows? But Plague Mirror. Now, Plague Mirror is a mana dork, but it's also got Infect, so that makes things like Howl from Beyond become, relevant. Because people will take the 1. Late game, you just like, I'm going to hit you for 1, you for this, you for that, and like, I'm just taking 1, that's like, it's Infect. And they're like, okay, no blocks, and you're like, Howl for 9, bye-bye. Anyway, Charcoal Diamond, Altar of the Pantheon, Burnished Heart, go get in them swamps, Everflowing Chalice. Question for y'all. When deck building, I deck build by converted mana value. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as it goes. What slot do y'all put Everflowing Chalice in when you use it? My mind, I consider this a 4 CMC card, because most of the time I'm not doing it for 1, unless I really, really got to do it. Most of the time I'm comfortable with 2. I don't. It has nothing to do with the deck. I just figured, why not ask? Spectral Searchlight, here again, you can target a player, which really helps out in diplomacy. And then we have Pristine Talisman, tapping to gain that life, because we are in black. We do need a little bit of life gain, because all of our card draw costs life. Almost all of it. We have Sign in Blood, Night's Whisper, Read the Bones, Underworld Connection, Ambition's Cost, Sanguimancy. And then the 2 that don't cost, Siphon Mine and Court of Ambition, which Court of Ambition does other stuff as well. So, I wanted to try to use as many old cards as I could. So the first one, we're playing mono black. The first one I run across was Roll Assassin, because this is a great card. I just encountered it last week. It may have been last month for y'all. I don't know how far out I'm recording these, but it's a great card. Vigilance is not that common, right? It's not. So, Roll Assassin, it keeps things, because a creature taps when they are declared an attacker, and therefore he can smack them down before they actually deal combat damage. So, and in the event that we have ones with Vigilance, we got the Bone Crank, the Icy Manipulator. I specifically like this art. Well, now the original art is beautiful, that sphere, but I'm thinking that's the Mirari anyway. Anyway. So to get on with the creatures, the pair of the Roll Assassin, I think the Sorcerer's Queen, because this Sorcerer's Queen is great in a multiplayer environment. Used to, back in the day, we would just make the creature 0/2 so we wouldn't take any damage from combat, but you can do that for anybody. Yeah, it's beautiful. The perfect blocker in the game, Will-O-the-Wisp. Yeah. We are playing mono black, so having that nightmare, we kind of need it. I mean, a giant flying. Yeah. And this is nightmare art. Sometimes I use the other art only when I don't have the Melissa Benson art. And we have demonic hordes. Now, paying triple black, if we can pay 6 mana for the 5/5, we can pay the triple black. But tap to destroy a land is not bad. Now, one land at a time, obviously that's not crippling anybody. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get rid of, Maze of Ith and Gaia's Cradle and whatever were, problem lands that exist. Have Spike Cannibal, because the +1/+1 counter theme, I mean, it's a very popular theme. It's not going away anytime soon. So, yeah. You do run the risk. Sometimes it's a dead card. Sometimes it's a great card. But there it is. We have Visara the Dreadful. Now, I know this is removal, but I didn't want to put a 6 mana 5/5 with Summoning Sickness in the removal slot, obviously. It's also a 5/5 flyer. It's really good. Hypnotic Spectre, really bummed that I didn't have the white border original version, but same card. We have a Vampire Nighthawk. Gary, you saw this one coming, right? The Grey Merchant. As many black mana symbols as we have, this could easily be considered a win con. Archetype of Finality. I like being the only one having Death Touch. A Baleful Force. I love this at the beginning of each upkeep. Yeah. And it is a 7/7. Singear the Dark Baron. I love the wording on new Baron Singear as opposed to the old one. Because the old one, the Baron had to damage the creature that dies. This one just cares about a creature dying. Yeah. Don't care. Then, of course, we have Timerette because, Devotion, exile 2 cards from graveyard, so you can get rid of that green shenaniganery that, I do have 4 equipment. Whisper Silk Cloak, Loxodon Warhammer, Swiftfoot Boots, and Trailblazer Boots, because a lot of times Trailblazer Boots is just like straight up unblockable. Non-basic land walk. We all run on this deck runs them. Granted, we only have 2. We have the Polluted Mire and the Rogue's Passage. I guess we'll end on removal now. But this is just the other category. Planar Void. Because nobody sees this card coming. And, it's not a bad card. It doesn't do anything about the current graveyard. But anything else that would go to it just straight gets exiled. We have a Corrupt. Mono black, right? Corrupt, Consume Spirit. Now, Mastermind's Acquisition I have in here. It's the only tutor. Granted, that outside the game clause is just not there in our format. Although, I kind of like what, I can't remember who said it. I don't want to misquote somebody. I'm all for, if you're ever playing it in a pod with me, and you've got a Ring of Maroof or a Mastermind's Acquisition, whatever, it says choose a card you own from outside the game. We don't have sideboards. That don't say nothing about sideboard. Now, for the downside is, if people allow me that rule and I'm playing inside this room, ooh, hold on. I'll be right back. I have the perfect card for that. Dalthy Embrace is a beautifully sweet card. You can do all kinds of political things with it. I can make sure your creature gets through if you whatever, or, you just make your stuff not blockable. It's beautiful. Mind Sludge, because there are times when that, blue player gets out of hand with their 32 card hand or whatever. Gloom. Now, I know it's horrible to hate on the worst color in the format, but white's getting better. Okay, I've never thought that white was as terrible as everybody else believed it, but white's getting better, and white can pose a huge problem to a mono black deck. Exsanguinate, I mean, what can we say? It just wins games, right? It is what it is. Phyresis and Tainted Strike, getting that infect. I guess the ultimate thing would be the 1/1 that swings at them, and then you Tainted Strike Howl from Beyond in. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. But I don't want to single out white as the only color the deck is hating on. See, back in the day, now we have what I call color annoyers. Back then, we had actual color hate. 2 black mana to repeatedly counter a green spell. That is insane. Now, it's green, so this is the perfect Crows and Grip target, okay? If you've got Crows and Grips, I mean, it's even Grips part of the name, right? But for the rest of our we have Diabolic Edict, Cast Down, Doomblade, Murder, Fleshbag Marauder, Chainer's Edict, Tendrils of Corruption, the pair of 1/8/7s, the Ravenous Chupacabra, the Chuppa thingy. I told you to stop making up animals. Shriekmaw, Zat's Will, Blood on the Snow. Now, I want to talk about pairs for a little bit, obviously. More green hate, creature hate for green specifically. But here again, green is probably one of the most played colors. I mean, I can tell you, I go through more forest than I go through any other basic land. I feel like that means I play more green, or I build more green, or maybe the decks that use green use more of it, because even if it's like green-blue, you're going to use green as your ramp. Anyway, I'm just saying, Perish is not a bad card. It can seem kind of... there have been games I've had Perish in my hand, I've looked around the table, and there's been no green decks. There's also been the times where I've looked around the table, and I've been the only non-green deck, and it feels like you won the lottery. But now, our last card... Word of Binding. Now, yeah, it does work with Roll Assassin, but more importantly, it works with Magic the Gathering. X target creatures become tapped means they don't have blockers. Somebody doesn't have blockers. And you can tap the table. You can tap everybody's creature if that's a thing that you need to do. The most humorous time I've ever seen it done was there was a stasis in play, and somebody else was like, "Oh yeah, well if we're not gonna have nobody's gonna have creatures," and tapped his Sarah Angel, and yeah, it was beautiful. But anyway, that is what I have got for Varragoth. Like I said, a pretty basic, just black commander deck. It happens. You need those sometimes, and sometimes those are the most fun. Depending on what mood I'm in, how we are, how we're playing, and there again. Now remember, a lot of these decks I've never played. A lot of these decks other people have played. Sometimes they will randomly roll from the wall. I know Chris. He likes to get the decks that are. I have 2 shelves here, decks to be filmed and decks to be listed. He likes to grab the ones, the teaser from the future. So that is 692, and we'll go and put it on the wall. I do appreciate y'all watching, and we're gonna keep rolling along. Maybe we'll, at this rate, maybe we can get caught up, right? So, appreciate you watching. Y'all let me know what you think, and thank y'all so much. But right now, we're gonna shuffle and cut.